everyone, my name's Danny, and I'm here with two-time IBJJF World Champion Tainan Dalpra. Tainan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, guys. Thank you for IBJJF, the platform, for having me here, and I'm excited to be chatting with you today.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. You've had an amazing 2022. You started the year off winning the Europeans. You had all submissions at the Europeans. You had another really dominant performance at the Pans. So I'd love to hear how you felt heading into the Worlds, coming off the momentum of those two tournaments.
Well, it felt good. It was definitely, it's been definitely my strategy, I would say, for every year, every belt level that I compete to, always try to fight as much as I can, fight as many tournaments as possible, fighting the major tournament, fighting the small tournaments to get that momentum to be ready and compete at the World Championship.
Yeah, you mentioned that you have always had a goal to compete a lot, and you compete in a lot of the Opens. Of course, you compete in the major tournaments. What are some of the other benefits of competing so frequently that you feel like maybe put you ahead of your competition?
Well, definitely, like I say, getting the momentum, and I use every competition. I've even made a post about this, but I use every competition to continue like improving. You know, like here at home at AOJ, we train from Monday to Friday, and we usually try to be creative to use the weekends and somehow continue to improve. So some weekends we do some cardio training, most of the weekends we do competition. So I just try to stay ready, and I believe that competing as much as possible, competing as many tournaments, if possible every weekend would be great. I took a little break a couple weekends before the Worlds, just to get into that vibe, competing Worlds, and to sharpen up my techniques. The training was really intense, so I needed a couple weekends as a rest and to be ready for the World Championship. But overall, I believe if you call yourself a competitor, if you call yourself a full-time athlete, all you got to do is to compete. That's your job. So that's what I try to do. That's what I try to stay active in the competitions.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that you're making improvements from one tournament to the next. Even the small ones, like you said, you're testing out new techniques and bringing more stuff to the bigger competitions. So I'd like to get into the 2022 Worlds. You came in, obviously, like I mentioned, with a lot of momentum. You've never lost an IBJJF match as a black belt, and the expectations were for you to win the division. You won in 2021, and you just had so much momentum. So what are some of the strategies you use to kind of deal with those expectations and deal with that pressure?
To be honest, for this Worlds, there is pressures and expectations leading up to it. But as you compete at the black belt at the highest level, I feel like it's important for you to learn how to deal with those. It's important for you to learn how to be able to see those and not let that phase you and not let that affect your performance. So I felt like I've got to that point a little bit ago where I'm able to deal with everything, with the media, with the critics, with the even the good comments about it, even the high expectations, the low expectations about it. I got to the point where I don't really mind that. I just focus on what I have to do. I have a objective in my head, and I'm just going after it. I feel like sometimes people, they let that get too much to them. You know, they let that like overwhelm them, and that can be. It can either make you or it can break you. So at this point, I feel like I've learned how to deal with it, and I continue to improve every day on that as well. It's something that you have to train. It's just like any other thing. The more you practice, the better you get at it. So the mental part of the competition is definitely being a game changer for me in this last competition. Just learning how to deal with every situation, and then just preparing and be ready for everything that has to come.
Do you feel like your career coming up through the lower belts helped you prepare for it too? Because I think a lot of the competitors who train under Hoffa and Gi, they get a lot of attention in the media, and people like to watch them because they have a really cool style and they always get good results. Do you feel like coming up and having those eyeballs on you helped to prepare you for these moments as well?
Definitely, it has helped me, but the biggest expectation you can have, it's on yourself. So that's the one that you really. If you prepared well, if you did everything you had to do, I felt like the expectation of you winning is high, and the confidence that you have within yourself is what's going to take you to that goal. So I feel like a lot of people, they don't do all this preparation, they don't do all that behind the scenes. So when the expectation comes, it overwhelms them because they're not ready for it. So it's part of the athlete's life. It's part of, you know, this life that I chose. It comes with it. It's great when you win. It's terrible when you lose, but it's part of the game. I believe it's like it will always be there. Being under the Mendes brothers, AOJ definitely pushed that to a higher point. But we have always done the work that we have to. We always dedicate ourselves. We always do everything that it's in your reach, and that's why whenever we get to the tournaments, we're ready, and that's it.
So I'd love to talk about some of the matches, and specifically at the 2022 Worlds. You started off with a really awesome submission, and then you had some big points wins, and then the final was a really great match. You went against Andy Murasaki of Atos, who had a crazy run leading up to the final. He beat Tommy Langaker, he submitted Manuel Hibamar, and he was looking really good. Can you talk about the final match and just how you felt going into it, how you felt about Andy as an opponent, and then obviously getting the submission was huge for you?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to go over, like, since the beginning, just the entire tournament.
Let's do it.
I think
Let's do it.
The first day I had 2 matches. I first got a bye because I was the number 1 seed, and then I had the 2 matches. And it was those 2 matches I usually use to try to warm it up into the competition, just to feel the adrenaline and to get the nerves out and to see where I'm at with, you know, just with timing, just to understand how I'm doing it at that certain day. And then regardless of the outcome, just continue to try to apply your techniques. Just continue to try to apply what I've trained for. So that's what happened in the first day. I had my first match against Caio Caetano, where it was a good exchange of good back and forth in the first, like, 2 minutes of techniques until we landed in the 50-50 position. And prior to this tournament, I've been working a lot more from the 50-50. I've been working on that situation over and over because definitely it's been I would say one of my mistakes and one of my weak points in the previous fights. So I wanted to make sure that on this tournament, if I had the opportunity to use the techniques that I've been working on, it would be great. So it definitely landed on the 50-50, and I was able to apply a back take spinning berimbolo from there, where I landed the leg drag and gave me the back opportunity too. So I've been doing this analysis on my Instagram. It's kind of good for the spectators, the fans, to take a look on where I'm at with, like, just in, like, mindset, you know. So I try to explain a little bit more of that there. Then I went up to my second match where I fought the Pedro Maia. It's funny because I fought Pedro when I was green belt. Yeah, way back when I was green belt, we fought, and I was able to win. I traveled to the city just to compete, like, a tournament in the city, and we ended up fighting. And then just from there, I've been a great fan of his work, and we were able to fight again. I wasn't really happy with the way how I fought. I felt like there was a lot, like, I made a lot of mistakes on holding the positions and stabilizing. But overall, it was a good performance. I was able to score a lot of points. I was pretty much dominant the entire match, from bottom and from top, controlling the positions. And that gave me the win and the tickets for the next day, day number 2 of Worlds. And the second day, you know, it was really cool to, for the first time, be fighting at the Black Belt at Pyramid. Last year when I fought was in Anaheim, so this year was at the Pyramid, something that I've always dreamed of, something I've always watched the best of the best competing under those lights. And just the whole platform that IBJJF built for the second day was amazing. So just being there and being part of that was just, throughout the tournament, I was just thinking that how blessed I was to be in that position, the position that I'm in, and to be a top contender to win the division. So the second day I had the match against Ronaldo at the semifinals, and I was able to match up with Andy in the finals. With Ronaldo, I was very happy with my performance. It definitely showed the improvements, and like how we talked about earlier on the podcast, is every tournament that I do, I try to bring up improvements. I don't just sign up to just go out there and just do it. I try to look for improvements. Every tournament I have different goals and different things that I want to accomplish. So from my previous fight with Ronaldo at Pan Am's it was a really like back and forth match. I felt like I made a few mistakes, but on that match, I was able to see gaps and openings in his game. And then right after, I knew that I could explore them a little bit more in the next fight. So in this fight, I was able to explore, and then I feel like get to the positions that me and my professor really study it. And it was great. I was able to win by, I believe it was like 10-0. I passed twice.
Yep.
I took the back. And it was just like, I felt like I was really dominant in that match. I felt like those gaps that, like I said, that we studied definitely worked. And I was happy with the performance. And going into my finals with Andy, I really didn't know who was going to go to the finals, either him or Tommy. I know like Tommy is a great competitor, so it's Andy. Andy had a great one, so it was hard to see who was going to go to the finals. But when I found out it was Andy, I was happy to get this third match with him. We were one-on-one, like we're even one-on-one. And it couldn't be any better, just fighting a world championship finals against him. And had my opportunity to make sure that I tie break that one. So going into the match against him it was good. I like fighting people that are technical, that have good jiu-jitsu. So like fighting him out, it was very exciting. I was very, very happy with the opportunity. I was just very blessed with everything that was happening, just the way how the tournament was going, very confident that in my abilities. And in the finals, I was able to get the submission. And I believe there was only 2 submissions in the final. So it was me and
Yep.
one in the women's division, correct?
Yeah, Anna Carolina Vieira got
Yeah,
that.
so I'm glad to be represented that way. It was good.
Yeah, that was amazing. You had such a great performance. And you said you fought Andy before and we were 1-1. Was that in the lower belts when you competed
Yeah,
against
I
him?
competed against him in my juvenile 2. So we fought the same day. He beat me in my weight division, and then we fought in the open class finals where I beat him. So it was back and forth, was in the same day. And then since then, we've been different belts and different weight divisions, but it was always a match that the fans and the spectators wanted to watch, just because like he was dominant with his competitions, I was very dominant with my competitions. We were pretty much close on size, so it was a match that people were looking forward to. It. So was I.
Yeah, it was a great match. Yeah, absolutely. I could tell. It was great. So one of the things that really stood out to me about your performance is just the way you're combining all your techniques, like from top to bottom. When you sweep, you go straight into your guard passes, and everything you combine, all your techniques, it stands out, and it's really different from a lot of other competitors. So what would you say is some of the keys to how you've been able to implement that, to be able to combine so many techniques so fluidly when you compete?
Well, that comes from your training. So I believe like the way how I compete is exactly the way how I train, and like there's so much more to show, but just like just really short. I feel like most of the competitors even me when I used to competing as with like a strategy in my head, it's a specific strategy where I had to display my game and I had to bring the person into my game. It just really put so much pressure into me where I wasn't able to show everything that I had. I wasn't able to display my full jiu-jitsu potential. So I stopped being a little bit more like that, and I started to just fight wherever the position would be, wherever the fight would land, I would just fight at that position and fight my techniques from there. So it improved a lot in the training. That mindset started in the training, and then it definitely showed in the competition. But just like being able, I feel like it's important for every competitor, and most people learn this in the black belt level. I was fortunate enough to have my professor guiding me and telling me those before I even got to the black belt. So I believe that like being complete, just being a full athlete where wherever the fight lands, if it's staining, if it's takedowns, if you're playing bottom, if you're playing top, you have your game from there. You have jiu-jitsu to go from there. So like a lot of this, I feel like sometimes the competitors, they get too tense with just playing and bringing the person to their favorite game, but then whenever they are in the person's game, they don't know how to go from there, and then it just ends up, being that match that you see nowadays sometimes. Or if this person is able to pull guard, he's going to win, or if he stays on top, he's going to lose. So like you can kind of predict what the match can happen, but because they're not really complete, So I believe that training and being a complete athlete is the most important. So as you see, Sometimes I will go into a match, I'll pull guard. Sometimes I'll end up on top. Sometimes I'll exchange a little bit takedowns. I'll do back takes. I'll do passings. It's just I'm just trying to be complete, just trying to be well rounded in every position that I land and every position that I end up in the match. So there is no whenever if I end up losing, I know that the person was better had a better jiu-jitsu than me. It wasn't because I wasn't in my game, or it wasn't because I wasn't playing where I'm most comfortable. I try to be comfortable everywhere, and I try to have good jiu-jitsu from every position. And if it happens that it probably will happen, I know this is just athlete's life. When I lose, I know that the person will be better than me, and I have to get better at that. I have to improve at that certain situation. I have things that I continue to work on, and on to the next.
That's something I noticed with a lot of the AOJ competitors. Is they're very complete. They can play on top. They can play on bottom. It's like you said. It's not like, oh, this person has to pull guard in order to win. If their opponent pulls guard, they're ready for it. If they want to pull guard and start to implement their strategy, they're ready for it.
It's just
too.
like being good at jiu-jitsu and overall. When it's just something that I dislike is whenever the person is just good at playing guard or just good at doing one certain move. I rather be good at everything or not be as great in everything, but being able to play everything. So eventually there is position that you prefer to bring the fight to. There is position that you feel more comfortable than the others, but it's important to learn and know how to fight from everywhere. And that's what I've done in my entire career. And that's what has brought me and the titles and everything that I've accomplished.
Absolutely. And another important factor in all your titles is your routine. I know you have a pretty crazy daily routine from teaching, doing private lessons, training. Can you talk about like what an average day is like at the gym for you?
Well, average day at the gym, it would be waking up at 5 a.m. because I have my first class at 6 a.m. Then we teach from 6 to 7, train from 7 to 8, the competition class, which is like the most intense class at AOJ, run by Professor Guy. Right after that, we train in the fundamentals class, where it's mostly a correction and specific training, also run by Professor Guy. I leave the gym and then I go into the workout 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I train at the Proactive. I have my team training with me, and it's just a 1 hour really intense training where you do cardio, you do lifting, you do heavy weights. And that goes from 11 to 12, 3 times a week. And then in the afternoon, I teach 3 classes, so 3 kids classes. At 2 p.m., closer to the competition, we add the training where it's drilling, sparring, and specific training. So at 2 p.m., we add this training when it gets closer to the competition, those last few weeks, just to sharpen up your techniques and to practice things that you've done in the earlier trainings, mistakes that you've done, and correct that at 2 p.m. So it's a full day. I also do some cardio training if I feel there's a need to. After my kids' classes in the afternoon, we'll do some running. It's just like how I said, if you call yourself an athlete, if you call yourself a professional, a full-time jiu-jitsu athlete, that's what your day needs to look like. You need to be training 24 hours a day. You need to be thinking. You need to be in this sport, jiu-jitsu, 24 hours a day. That's what it's in my head all day. That's all I think. I don't really pay attention to other things happening on the outside, So a lot of people like asking me what's my hobby or what do I like to do outside of jiu-jitsu, but I don't really pay attention to that. You gotta be a little bit into jiu-jitsu too much to be, at the highest level and to be able to keep up and then display and show your own work, create this we've talked before a little bit about this, but create this next generation push and motivation. So it comes from that. It comes from being 24 hours, 24/7, 365 just in jiu-jitsu. I don't really pay attention to nothing else. I don't really pay attention to soccer or those other sports and this type of things. My life has been jiu-jitsu, and then that's what I've done. That's all I know how to do.
You mentioned the next generation. I have to ask about this because you can tell through your social media posts that you're very into inspiring the next generation, teaching the next generation, and that's something it's pretty rare for someone who's only 21 years old to already be thinking about the people who are coming up behind them. So can you talk about where that mindset comes from and why it's so important for you to be a good role model and to have a great attitude so you can inspire the next generation?
Well, it definitely comes from, being this, I feel like starting as a young kid is like what helped me get into the position I am in today has been the inspirations from role models from different people that motivated me when I was little. So I hope that I'm doing that for the next generation, for the kids. I'm doing already. We're working at AOJ. I teach kids and I teach different age. I teach different levels. I teach kids that are thinking about competition already. I teach kids that are just doing this as just a part time, just something for them to enjoy during the day. And I try to somehow think as a way that I can motivate them or that I can change their lives with the sport and with something that has changed my life. So Jiu-Jitsu today, it has changed my life completely where I'm living in a different country, having many great opportunities that I'm having. I'm teaching in one of the top academies in the world, and I'm just living this lifestyle that comes from my work, but also comes from Jiu-Jitsu, just comes from everything that I've worked for. And I'm just trying to show and display this to the next generation and show them that if I can do it, they can do it. If once I was in their position and I also had inspirations, I had good and bad role models, and it's part of being in somebody in the future. It's part of accomplishing your goals. It's part of writing down things that you want to be and people that you want to become and be like one day. So I hope to be inspired and motivating this next generation. And it's something that I would say it's part of my job. It's part of what I want to do in the future. Eventually, when I'm done with the competition, with the competition scenario, I want to still stay in this game, but now making and building champions for the next generation, the next people that have to come in, the young generation, the juveniles, the next adult champions, and the next black belt champions. So I'll be in this for a very, very long time, and I hope to be doing a great job helping my community, helping my people. And like I said, it's part of my work. It's part of what I want to do in the future. So I'm working and preparing myself to that phase. I still got many years ahead of me competing, but I want to prepare myself and be ready. So when the day comes, I know exactly what to do, and I'll start pushing and just shift my whole objective from being a competitor to build competitors and building champions. So that's what I look forward to do in the future.
That's amazing. So I want to congratulate you and commend you not only on your achievements in competition, but also for that vision to really build up the future, because that's really what's going to push the sport forward is people like you fully committed to building up the next generation and passing on all the values and all the skills that you've learned in Jiu-Jitsu.
Thank you. It's amazing. And it's just like it's everything put it together. So just not just me pushing on to the next generation, but also the next generation coming in with this new hunger and getting motivated to be in those situations, like the platform that IBJJF and the other organizations built. It comes from the athlete, the motivation comes from the athletes, but then as you get there, you see this whole platform and everything built, ready and giving you the opportunity to show your work. And then that's what motivates you. That's what I've been driven since I was a little kid. I remember watching Professor Rafa compete in 2016 Worlds and was just like, it was, like I said, it was everything put together. It was him competing Worlds in the black belt level. It was the whole platform that was built for him to display and showcase his work. And everybody that was there, the environment, the opportunity that he gets, and it's just everything put it together. When it all combines, it's just like, it's beautiful, it's amazing. And I'm very happy and very blessed to be in the position I'm in. Like I said, I'm able to be that person now. I'm able to be that person motivating the next generation. I'm able to have this opportunity and platform that, like I said, the IBJJF and different organizations, they build for the athlete to display their work. And to get recognition from many different sports. I get, I get people. Even earlier today, I was scrolling through Instagram pages, and I was seeing some celebrities, and they also doing jiu-jitsu now. So it's just like getting to see my sport growing to the point where people from different backgrounds, people from different jobs, people from that have different lifestyles, they love this sport, and then they get to see it. And if I'm able to collaborate with this, if I'm able to push the next generation, and that continues to go on, and I want it to be a generation type of thing. It's just like not just why I'm competing, I'm up there, but why I'm competing, why I'm building up champions, why, and then after I'm training somebody to do this work, so that can be a generation that can, long after I'm gone, it just can continue to go after and after, and can go for a very long time, and just each year just grow more and more, So I'm very happy with everything that's been going on.
That's amazing. Congrats again on all your success. I'm very happy for you and your team. And is there anyone else you want to thank before we wrap it up?
First, I want to thank you guys for doing this interview and podcast. I feel like I get to showcase a little bit more of myself. I get to open up a little bit more to you guys. Usually, as a competitor, people only get to see you that day of the competition, which it's hard to really be yourself. So it's just like you're under a stressful scenario. You're fighting for the gold medal. You're fighting for recognition. So it's hard to be just like be yourself in that situation. So I try to be the best I can, and I use things like this to open up a little bit more about myself to people, so they get to know me, and somehow, even if I can, inspire and motivate them. And thank you for everybody that's been following me. Thank you for my teammates, my family. Thank you to my wife, that has been a great person to me. She's definitely somebody, if I was able to do it, I owe a lot to her. So I hope that things like this makes her happy, and I'm excited for the future.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Tainan. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you guys soon for another interview.